like over 200,000 for merch sales. Don't quote me on that because I think it just keeps like bumping up like crazy. But I just wanted to say a huge thank you to the events team.
I wanted to hire her. I only have one problem. Charlie Kirk wanted to date her. Long story short, I was very worried he was gonna...
Hold up, what just happened? 1 minute, a TPUSA insider steps forward with explosive claims about how donations from loyal fans were allegedly being handled behind the scenes, and the next minute, that same whistleblower has completely vanished from the internet. No posts, no updates, no trace. Folks, the timing is straight up cinematic. Right after this person started dropping details about massive merch sales, questionable spending, and some very strange leadership moves following Charlie Kirk's passing, everything went dark. According to circulating reports and screenshots blowing up online, this wasn't just another disgruntled ex-employee venting. This was someone promising receipts, and then poof. People are already connecting dots faster than a conspiracy theorist on Red Bull. Was it a coincidence? A dramatic exit? Or something way more suspicious? Buckle up, because what started as whispers inside Turning Point USA is now a full-blown internet firestorm. And today, we're diving headfirst into every jaw-dropping layer of this story. The viral hug that broke the timeline, the conflicting origin tales, the sudden power shift, and the one question everyone is screaming in the comments. Where is the whistleblower? And what exactly did they uncover before they disappeared? You're not gonna want to miss a single second of this. Let's go. Fire. Now, let's zoom in on how this whole situation even kicked off, because the internet didn't just wake up one day with random rumors. It all started building from a mix of real moments that got people talking, and then those moments snowballed into something much bigger. Picture this: Charlie Kirk, the energetic founder everyone knew as the face of Turning Point USA, is suddenly gone. The organization he built from the ground up is in mourning, supporters are heartbroken, and the conservative movement feels a massive void. In the middle of all that emotion, leadership has to step up fast. Erika Kirk, his widow, is quickly named the new CEO and chair. Tyler Bowyer, who's been a longtime COO and key player inside TPUSA, stays right there in a major operational role. On paper, it looks like a natural transition to keep the mission alive. But online, some folks started noticing things that felt off. One of the first sparks? A public event in Las Vegas for the opening of Turning Point Action's new office. Erika shows up, the crowd is buzzing, and at one point she and Tyler Bowyer share a hug right there on stage in front of everyone. Nothing crazy on its own. It's a professional setting, people hug at events all the time. But in the hypercharged atmosphere after Charlie's passing, that clip went viral faster than you can say optics. Comments flooded in. Some called it warm and unifying, others found the timing distasteful, and a few went full detective mode asking if it hinted at something deeper between the two in the leadership structure. According to circulating clips and posts, Tyler had even been out there publicly endorsing Erika's role, calling her the one who could reach new audiences the way Charlie reached young men.
I can't even begin to describe it, because the people that I felt like I was working for were not, they were.
He painted a picture of continuity and growth. Meanwhile, old audio from Tyler resurfaced where he jokingly told the story of first wanting to hire Erika for a position. He said something like, "I wanted to hire her. I only had one problem: Charlie Kirk wanted to date her." He laughed about how Charlie accomplished everything he set his mind to. They fell in love, and Tyler lost an employee but gained a boss. It was meant to be light-hearted, but in the current climate, people replayed it with raised eyebrows, wondering about the early connections. And here's where it gets even more layered. People started digging into how Erika and Tyler first crossed paths, and the stories floating around didn't always line up neatly. In one version shared in interviews, Tyler mentioned Erika reaching out years earlier, wanting to get involved in political circles around Trump's inauguration time, and he helped introduce her. In another telling, Erika described meeting Tyler through a family friend who invited her to a Turning Point office opening. Then there were accounts of her first noticing Charlie during a trip to Israel with her mother, standing in a ticket line, spotting a familiar face, her mom encouraging her to say hi. Yet another version had their meeting starting as what felt like a business discussion that turned personal. These aren't wild inventions. They are pulled from various public interviews and clips that have been resurfaced and compared side by side. The variations aren't shocking in normal life. People remember origins differently over time. But when you're in the spotlight of a major organization, especially during a sensitive leadership handoff, Every detail gets scrutinized under a microscope. Online commentators started asking, was Tyler just a helpful colleague early on, or did he play a bigger role in connecting people? Was it all innocent networking, or did it feel more coordinated? No one has definitive proof of anything sinister, but the inconsistencies added fuel to the speculation fire. Fast forward a bit, and the conversation shifted from personal timelines to the practical side of running TPUSA. Not long after the transition, leaked audio clips began making the rounds, reportedly from an internal meeting where Erika is heard thanking the events team and excitedly noting how merch sales were climbing. In the clip, she mentions figures like over 200,000 in sales and says it keeps bumping up like crazy. She sounds upbeat, grateful for the team's hard work during a tough time. Supporters who bought items to honor Charlie's memory saw it one way, as a sign the organization was resilient. Critics heard it differently, wondering if celebrating numbers so soon felt tone-deaf when emotions were still raw. At the same time, reports and social media posts popped up about merch orders. Some fans said their Charlie tribute shirts took months to arrive, or the quality wasn't what they expected, or customer service replies felt slow and generic. Others shared stories of waiting weeks without updates. These kinds of complaints happen with big online drops across any brand: shipping delays, high demand, fulfillment hiccups. But when tied to a memorial moment, they hit harder. People in comment sections started sharing screenshots of emails and order numbers, turning individual frustrations into a broader narrative about whether the surge in support was being handled smoothly. This is around the time when whispers inside and outside the organization reportedly grew louder. According to various online discussions and posts from former staff or anonymous accounts, some people felt the focus was shifting away from the original grassroots activism vibe toward more polished events and celebrity-style appearances. A few insiders allegedly described the atmosphere as changing, with departures happening and questions being asked behind closed doors about budgets, tours, and administrative costs. Again, transitions are messy. People leave organizations for all sorts of reasons, from burnout to new opportunities. But the timing made everything look more suspicious to those already watching closely. Then came the bigger bombshell that pushed everything into overdrive: talk of a whistleblower. This person, described in circulating reports as an insider with access to internal details, supposedly stepped forward with concerns about how donations and funds were being directed. The claims suggested that money fans thought was going straight into activism efforts might have been moved into areas like event expenses, tours, or vague admin categories in ways that weren't super transparent. Figures like $10 million got thrown around in headlines, though many outlets were careful to label everything as unverified or according to sources. The whistleblower allegedly promised more concrete evidence or receipts to back things up. What made it explode? The timing. Right as these claims started gaining traction online, the person behind them seemed to go quiet. No more updates, no follow-through posts, accounts went dark or inactive. Internet sleuths noticed immediately. One day they are dropping hints, the next they are gone. What happened? Became the rallying cry in threads across platforms. Was it cold feet? A strategic retreat? External pressure? Or just life getting in the way? No official confirmation of any disappearance or foul play has surfaced from authorities, but the sudden silence turned a financial discussion into a full mystery. Adding another layer, some commentators brought up past comments from Candace Owens and others who claimed Charlie himself had grown concerned about certain financial practices inside TPUSA in the weeks leading up to his passing. Reports mentioned he wanted a closer look at operations, possibly even setting up a small internal review team focused on efficiency. Whether that ever turned into a formal audit, and what any findings might have been, remains unclear. Nothing public has been released. But the idea that the founder had questions, then tragedy struck, then leadership changed hands quickly, created a perfect storm for what-if theories. Public reactions split hard. On one side, loyal TPUSA supporters pushed back, calling the whole thing baseless rumor-mongering designed to hurt the movement at a vulnerable time. They pointed to continued events, new chapter inquiries, and growth metrics as proof the organization was stronger than ever. Tyler Bowyer and others have addressed conspiracy chatter in interviews, dismissing wilder claims as unhinged and emphasizing record-breaking momentum. On the other side, skeptics and critics saw every hug, every sales mention, and every timeline variation as pieces of a larger puzzle that didn't quite fit. The Las Vegas hug, the merch enthusiasm, the early connection stories, the donation questions, the quiet whistleblower. Each element on its own could be explained as normal organizational life under stress. Put them together in a timeline with dramatic music and zoomed-in screenshots, and suddenly it feels like a thriller script. That's exactly what happened online. YouTube videos, TikTok breakdowns, X threads, and Reddit megathreads dissected every second, turning allegedly into clickbait gold. And yet, as of now, a lot remains in the according to sources and reportedly category. No smoking gun documents have been widely verified. No lawsuits have dropped naming specific individuals for fraud. TPUSA leadership has pushed back against the noise, focusing on their mission and growth. But the conversation refuses to die because the core ingredients are too juicy: power shift after loss, money questions, personal relationships in the spotlight, and one voice that spoke up then went silent. This sets the stage for everything that followed. Because once the whistleblower story hit critical mass, people didn't just stop at him, suspicious. They started demanding answers, digging deeper into past incidents, and wondering out loud whether the organization Charlie built was truly staying true to its roots, or if something had quietly shifted behind the scenes. Picking up right where that left off, the Real frenzy began when anonymous sources and leaked bits of information started painting a picture of what the whistleblower might have been hinting at before going quiet. Online investigators, or as some call them, keyboard detectives, began connecting the dots between the public moments we just covered and deeper questions about how funds were actually flowing. According to various posts and discussion threads, the core allegation revolved around donations. Supporters believed their contributions were fueling campus activism, voter outreach, and conservative education efforts, the classic TPUSA playbook. But the claims suggested portions of that money may have been redirected into categories that felt less direct: expanded tours, event production costs, administrative overhead, or even higher-profile appearances that looked more like celebrity meet-and-greets than pure grassroots work. One circulating narrative described it as a slow drip rather than one big suspicious transfer, small amounts spread out over time so they wouldn't raise immediate red flags in regular reviews. Insiders allegedly described staff meetings where questions about specific expenses got defensive responses. Some former team members reportedly left because they felt the vibe was drifting from the original mission towards something more polished and less hands-on with students. Again, these are anecdotal stories shared anonymously. Organizations lose people during leadership changes all the time, and drifting mission complaints happen everywhere from nonprofits to corporations. But when paired with the merch complaints we mentioned earlier, it created a narrative of supporters feeling their loyalty and dollars weren't landing where they expected. Humor me for a second. Imagine dropping hundreds on a memorial shirt to honor a fallen leader, only to wait months for a package that arrives looking different than advertised, with support tickets going into a black hole of automated replies. Frustrating, right? Now multiply that by thousands of passionate fans who see the organization as more than just a brand. It's a movement. That's when disappointment turns into anger, and anger turns into someone needs to explain this. Social media filled with stories of credit card disputes, refund hunts, and posts asking, "Is this what supporting the cause looks like now?" The whistleblower angle took it from customer service gripes to potential bigger issues. This unnamed source supposedly had access to internal numbers and promised proof that certain patterns didn't add up. When that voice suddenly stopped posting or sharing, the vacuum got filled with wilder speculation. Why vanish right when you're about to drop receipts? Became the question of the week. Some theorized external threats or pressure. Others suggested it was just someone realizing the spotlight was too hot and backing off. Without concrete updates, the mystery only grew. Layer on top of that the personal dynamics. The viral Las Vegas hug wasn't just a one-off clip, it became symbolic. Commenters joked it looked like a passing of a torch moment, while others turned sarcastic. From mourning to matching energy real quick. Tyler's old hiring story got remixed into everything from innocent banter to was this planned from the start. Erika's multiple retellings of how she and Charlie met, Israel trip, family friend intro, rally connection, job interview turn date, were lined up like puzzle pieces that didn't perfectly click. People love a good origin story, but when versions vary, the internet treats it like a plot hole in a Marvel movie. One particularly spicy angle involved Tyler's early role in political circles. Clips showed him talking about placing people at rallies or making introductions back in 2015 to 2018. Erika appearing in those spaces got highlighted, leading to questions about whether their professional network overlapped long before romance entered the picture with Charlie. Tyler even reportedly joked in one setting about coaching or helping with approaches, again, framed lightheartedly at the time, but replayed today with dramatic pauses and side-eye emojis. Public reactions split the conservative online space in interesting ways. Some big voices stayed silent or defended the organization, arguing that growth metrics, new chapter interest, event turnout, continued programming, proved everything was fine. Others, including commentators like Candace Owens, amplified questions about finances and transparency. Owens reportedly shared leaked audio and pushed narratives about Charlie wanting more oversight before his passing. Whether those claims hold up or were exaggerated for engagement is still debated, but they kept the pot boiling. Hypothetical scenarios flew around. What if an internal review had been underway? What if donor money really was being allocated differently than advertised? What if the whistleblower had hard data that could change the picture? Of course, what if isn't evidence, and TPUSA has repeatedly pushed back, calling much of the chatter baseless or conspiracy-driven. They've highlighted resilience, record interest post-tragedy, and commitment to the mission. In interviews, leaders have dismissed wilder theories while focusing on positive momentum. But the sarcasm online was next level. Memes compared the situation to soap operas, with captions like "when the sequel drops but the original director is missing." Others used humor to cope. Merch sales bumping up like crazy, meanwhile my order is still in the mail since last year. It was equal parts outrage, entertainment, and genuine confusion. Pop culture references flew. Someone called it Succession but make it conservative campus politics. Another likened the timeline inconsistencies to a bad rom-com with too many rewrites. As weeks passed, the story evolved beyond TPUSA's walls. Mainstream outlets picked up pieces with cautious headlines full of allegedly and reportedly. Social platforms saw hashtags trend, then get buried under counter-narratives. Some fans defended Erika's leadership, saying stepping up during grief showed strength. Others questioned the speed of the transition and the celebratory tone around sales figures. The merch surge itself became a double-edged sword. Proof of love for Charlie on one hand, potential profiteering optics on the other. Here's the entertaining twist. None of this is happening in a vacuum. Conservative movements have seen infighting before, power struggles after big losses, and money questions in nonprofits. TPUSA isn't the first organization to face scrutiny over transparency, and it won't be the last. What makes this case pop is the combination of tragedy, rapid change, personal relationships in the spotlight, and that one quiet whistleblower who lit the match then disappeared from view. The fallout started feeling real when calls grew for more accountability. Some supporters publicly asked for clearer financial breakdowns or updates on any internal reviews. Others demanded the organization address the merch complaints head-on with better communication. A few even speculated about possible external probes or donor pushback, though nothing official has materialized in that direction yet. Tension built as people waited to see if the whistleblower would reappear with the promised proof, or if the story would simply fade as newer controversies took over the news cycle. Meanwhile, inside the broader conversation, humor kept it from getting too dark. Sarcastic threads asked things like, "If hugs are scandalous now, what about handshakes?" Or next they'll say the coffee budget is suspicious. It was investigative energy mixed with meme culture, exactly the kind of chaotic entertainment that keeps people glued to their screens for hours. This middle phase turned scattered suspicions into a somewhat coherent, if still unproven, storyline. The hug became the moment, the stories became the inconsistencies, the sales talk became the tone-deaf part, and the missing voice became the cliffhanger. Viewers and readers were hooked, refreshing feeds for the next drop, the next clip, the next anonymous tip. But just when it seemed like the peak, new angles kept emerging. And those new angles only made the whole situation feel more unfinished and intriguing. One of the bigger additions to the narrative came from discussions around Charlie's own reported concerns in his final weeks. Commentators shared claims that he had flagged certain financial practices and wanted a closer efficiency review, sometimes called a mini Doge-style initiative inside the organization. Insiders allegedly told different outlets that Charlie was asking questions about vendors, contracts, and where donor dollars were really landing. If true, it painted a picture of a founder sensing something needed tightening up, only for tragedy to interrupt before any full picture could emerge. Whether that review ever produced documented findings remains a big unknown. No public audit results have dropped that address these specific whispers. That vacuum allowed speculation to run wild. Did the questions die with him? Were they addressed quietly after the transition? Or were they part of a larger pattern that the whistleblower later tried to highlight? Organizations rarely air dirty laundry in real time, so the lack of transparency felt suspicious to critics and perfectly normal to defenders. The leadership duo of Erika and Tyler stayed front and center. Erika was seen taking a more public role, appearing at events, meeting with figures like governors, and talking about expanding reach to new demographics. Tyler continued handling operational heavy lifting, often positioned as the steady hand guiding day-to-day work. Their visible partnership got praised by supporters as strong teamwork keeping TPUSA alive and growing. Skeptics, however, read it through the lens of the earlier hug and timeline questions, turning professional collaboration into something that looked too cozy too soon. Merch and donation fatigue played a continuing role. As more stories of delayed orders or quality issues surfaced, some fans started sharing credit card dispute experiences or posts begging for better support links. On the flip side, plenty of buyers reported receiving their items eventually and defended the organization, saying high demand after a major event naturally causes hiccups. It became a classic online battle. They profited off tragedy versus people are just being ungrateful during a tough transition. Adding humor to the chaos, memes exploded featuring dramatic music over the Las Vegas hug clip or side-by-side comparisons of the different meeting stories with clown emojis. One popular format showed Tyler's "I wanted to hire her" audio with text overlays like plot twist, "Now she's the boss and merch is flying." It was savage but undeniably entertaining, the kind of dark humor that thrives when serious topics mix with internet culture. Public backlash manifested in comment sections demanding answers. Release any internal review findings. Show clearer breakdowns of where memorial donations went. Bring back the whistleblower or explain the silence. Some even jokingly suggested starting a petition for receipts or it didn't happen. On the other side, loyalists fired back with growth stats, thousands of new chapter inquiries, continued campus impact, record engagement in some areas. They argued the noise was distraction from the real mission of fighting for conservative values on college campuses. Hypothetical consequences got thrown around in speculation threads. What if donors started pulling back? What if state attorneys general or IRS watchdogs took interest in nonprofit handling of funds? What if key staff departures turned into public exits with their own stories? None of these have materialized into major legal actions as far as public records show, but the what if energy kept anticipation high. Some voices predicted a slow financial squeeze if trust kept eroding. Others said the movement's passion would outweigh any drama. The most twisted part? The story still feels unresolved. The whistleblower remains off the radar. Any potential audit from Charlie's time hasn't surfaced publicly. Leadership continues operating, events keep happening, and TPUSA insists the focus remains on activism and growth. Yet the internet won't let it rest. Every new appearance by Erika or Tyler gets clipped and analyzed for body language or tone. Every sales update gets compared to earlier complaints. It's like a live-action mystery series where new episodes drop via tweets and leaked audios. In a sarcastic twist, some commentators compared it to reality TV, Big Brother, non-profit edition. This season, everyone's auditing everyone. Others reference classic scandals but with a modern conservative spin, joking that even Watergate had better communication. The humor served as a pressure valve, letting people engage without fully committing to any wild theory. Ultimately, this saga highlights how fragile trust can be in high-profile movements. Supporters invest emotionally and financially because they believe in the cause. When optics slip, a hug at the wrong time, upbeat sales talk during grief, delayed orders, varying personal stories, it creates space for doubt. Add a quiet whistleblower and unverified money questions, and you have viral rocket fuel. Whether this turns out to be much ado about normal transition pains, or something that genuinely requires more transparency, only time and potential official statements will tell. For now, the conversation keeps evolving. New clips surface, old audio gets remixed, and the audience stays hooked waiting for the next chapter. The big open question hanging over everything: will the whistleblower reappear with those promised details? Will clearer financial pictures emerge to settle the dust? Or will this become another footnote in movement infighting where speculation outlives facts? One thing is certain: the story has legs, and the internet is still running on the treadmill. People are watching, sharing, debating. And yes, even laughing through the absurdity of how quickly a professional hug and some merch numbers turned into a full-blown online soap opera. As we wrap this deep dive, it's clear the dots people are connecting come from very real public moments. But connecting them into a sinister picture versus seeing them as messy human realities in a high-stakes organization makes all the difference. The truth, as always, probably sits somewhere in the messy middle, far less cinematic than the viral versions, but still worth watching closely. So here we are, folks, at the end of this wild ride through one of the most talked-about mysteries swirling around Turning Point USA right now. A whistleblower steps into the spotlight with some very heavy questions about how things have been running behind the scenes, and then vanishes into thin air. We've got viral hugs, conflicting stories, skyrocketing merch numbers mixed with shipping headaches, rapid leadership changes, and enough, according to sources, whispers to fill an entire season of your favorite drama series. Whether you see this as normal growing pains after an unimaginable loss, or as something that genuinely deserves clearer answers and more transparency, one thing is undeniable. The conversation isn't going away anytime soon. The internet has connected every dot, replayed every clip, and turned every timeline variation into its own conspiracy board.
And honestly,
that level of engagement shows just how deeply people still care about the movement Charlie Kirk helped build.
now it's your turn.
What do you think really happened here? Was the whistleblower just overwhelmed and stepped back? Or is there more to the sudden silence that we haven't heard yet?
Do the timeline.
Inconsistencies and public moments feel like innocent coincidences to you, or do they raise legitimate questions worth asking? Drop your hottest take in the comments below. Be respectful, but don't hold back. Are you team let them cook and focus on the mission, or team we need receipts and better communication?
Tell me which side you're on and why.
If you want more deep dives like this, where we break down the drama, the clips, the rumors, and the reality with zero filter, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications.
We're not done with this story. Not even close.
Next time something breaks, you'll be the first to know. Smash the like button if this video made you think twice, raised an eyebrow, or at least gave you some popcorn-worthy entertainment. Share it with friends who follow conservative politics or love a good mystery, because the more eyes on this, the harder it becomes for anyone to sweep uncomfortable questions under the rug. The truth rarely stays hidden forever. Until the next update drops, stay curious, stay skeptical, and most importantly, stay engaged.
I'll see you in the comments. Let's talk about it. Fire.